We are going to be discussing J.J. Watt signing with the Arizona Cardinals. It did happen. It happened yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. On a Monday. We are recording this as of Tuesday. You guys will be hearing this on a Wednesday. And as a little introduction to the podcast, we have for Nick, we have our three-way NFL mock draft. This is the fifth edition of the Stampedes mock draft. And I know it gets kind of repetitive, but trust me, there's a lot of trades in this one, and we kind of mixed it up a lot and have a lot of fun. You can hear us talk about the prospects and why we think it's a good wherever they go it's a good landing spot. So, all right, so let's talk about J.J. Watt first. He signed a 2-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know what the money is, but I know it was a lot.
31.
31.5 million.
Okay. Well, first, I just want to say it's somewhat interesting to see him go to the Arizona Cardinals. Some people calling him a fraud because he's not going to like a contender. But look at it this way: Kyler Murray's going into his third year as a starter quarterback. I don't know what your guys' view on Kyler Murray is as of now, but after his rookie season, I viewed him as a top 10 quarterback. He's kind of fallen out of that a little bit. But I think it's year 3. The game's going to slow down for him a lot more. And I think we'll see a big year 3 bounce. So I think he'll kind of return to that top 10-ish quarterback range. It's such a rare combination for Kyler, ability to throw the ball and run the football. But, it's not a Kyler Murray conversation. Obviously, the quarterback playing a big part in his decision. He said that. Also, the familiarity with the Cardinals defensive coordinator. The scheme fit. He fits the scheme. He's pairing up with Chandler Jones and Hassan Reddick. I'm not as high on Hassan Reddick as the majority of the public is, and apparently neither are the Cardinals. So I expect Hassan Reddick to be cut within the few coming days, because he's not going to be. He won't be in there on third downs because you would want J.J. Watt in there. He's not as good as run defender as Chandler Jones or J.J. Watt. So Hassan Reddick could be cut, or he could. I don't think he's going to be a rotational, edge rusher. He's good enough to be a starter somewhere. I don't think he's going to be a rotational guy. So I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on J.J. Watt. So one of y'all, give me your thoughts.
Well, I guess I'll go. Oh, Nick, go ahead. Actually, you're the new guy.
I mean, the fit, it works, but I don't think, he wanted to go to a contender, and I just don't know if the Cardinals are. Like, I know they have a lot of star talent, and they have a lot of big names. As you saw last year, they kind of burned out. When they go 8-8. They start off pretty strong, and honestly, when you go back on it, I mean, the Bills game easily could have lost that if Hopkins doesn't catch the ball. Against Seattle, Seattle was up by like 10 points with like 2 minutes left. They should have won that game. So honestly, they could have been 6-10 very easily. So I don't know if it's a contender. I don't know what other moves they have up there, sleeves. But I mean, the fit works. I guess $15.5 million. It's hard to say no to that. At what is he, like 32 years old, 31, 30, 32. So I guess the money was a factor. That was a thing. I was thinking maybe he would go a little bit cheaper to be on a better team, but I think money was a factor. So I guess when you play in money and fit, the Cardinals were on the top. So yeah.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Nick. I think money was definitely a bigger factor to J.J. Watt's decision than most of us thought. But the only other team I really thought he had a chance of going to was the Buffalo Bills, just because I thought that was really that perfect match of Buffalo needing extra help on the run support on defense. And J.J. Watt, yeah, he's coming off, he's not full on as healthy as we like. Some even argue that he's a little bit past his prime, but he's still one of the more dominant defensive players in the NFL. And I think the skills that he still has would have really complemented the defense of the Buffalo Bills. That being said, Buffalo didn't really have a lot of money to offer. They re-signed a lot of their secondary linebackers as well. They got to get ready to give Josh Allen a lot of money. So I think Buffalo was definitely struggling a little bit with their pockets, and I think that's why they weren't able to contend with Arizona, especially when it got late into those final 3-4 teams that J.J. Watt thought about. But I think J.J. Watt, any place he went, he felt that they at least had a chance. And I think because he feels like he can help so much for Arizona, that if Arizona can just get 2 or 3 of the right pieces in the draft, they can be a contender. Will they? How far will they go into the playoffs if they make the playoffs? I don't know. But for J.J. Watt to have that much faith in Kyler Murray kind of tells you about how special that team really is, even though we haven't really seen them do so well these last 2 seasons.
Yeah, well, you look at the Arizona's roster, and obviously they have a very young, talented quarterback. Their wide receiving core is good and young. I know Larry Fitz is a free agent, but let's be honest here, he's probably going to sign there again because that's what he always does. And they still have D-Hop, and there's a chance, hint at our mock draft, there's a chance they could draft a running back round 1 to pair with Kyler Murray. And defensively, they have a lot of young talent. I know they're losing Patrick Peterson, a guy who, now that I'm thinking about it, I need to add to our upcoming free agency preview podcast that we're going to have next week that we've been planning out. But they do have Byron Murphy, who's a young corner. They have Tyrann Mathieu, who's one of the best safeties in the NFL, right? They have Chandler Jones, one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. Oh, Tyrann Mathieu's not on their team anymore. They have I said Tyrann Mathieu. I meant Buda Baker. Excuse me. I always associate the two of them. Yeah, you know what I meant. I meant Buda Baker. They have one of the best safeties in the NFL, in Buda Baker. And you add just another dominant edge rusher like J.J. Watt is to the fold. The Cardinals, and they have Isaiah Simmons from last year, who can play whatever position on the field you need him to. He's basically a poor man's Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. There's one of my draft takes. But still, Isaiah Simmons is such a great player coming out of the draft. Last year, I hope that they can finally figure out how to use him. So, yeah, I think that all around the team for Arizona is kind of coming together. The biggest question I have is the coaching staff in Arizona. I think they're talented enough to be the best team in their division. You go down the line, they have one of the better quarterbacks in their division. You make the argument Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford. I think there's an argument to be had there because of Kyler's rushing ability. And I just think that Arizona, just don't sleep on them next year. We did this last year when Tom Brady went to the Bucks. There's the meme: if you weren't a fan at 7-8, don't be or 7-9, don't be a fan at 8-8. Am I predicting they're going to make a Buccaneers leap to a Super Bowl run? I'm not going to predict that because I still think they have Green Bay, Tampa Bay, the Rams. I mean, there's 3 teams in their own division. All 4 of those teams can make the playoffs, right? So, but just don't be shocked if the Cardinals, go 10-6, 11-5 next year, because this year before they kind of flamed out, they were well on their way to winning 11, 12 games. So